And, I'm in awe of being blessed to have been to the land where the pyramids were, the Sphinx, and, just the Aswan Dam, Luxor, where they had the temples of the, one side of the Nile was the land of the living, one side was the land of the dead, and I had photographed all of that. So I'm here one day just chilling out, I got the radio on, and all of a sudden I hear Chancellor being interviewed by a friend of mine at the radio station that started me in my career as a photographer. So, once I hear this, I'm like, red flag goes up. Chancellor Williams on the radio. He's talking to Clint Walker, so I got to find Clint. So I call Clint. I said, Clint, you interviewed Chancellor Williams. Where is he? I got to meet him. I got to know him. When you read a book like The Destruction of Black Civilization, which really was so profound to me, it enlightened me, it empowered me, you don't very rarely get to meet the author of those kind of books. I didn't even know if Chancellor was still alive. He was like 74, 75 at the time. So Clint tells me that Chancellor lives in my neighborhood, which really was outstanding. So he told me he lived at a place called the Woodner, which was a hotel and an apartment all in one. So I wrote this letter saying, Chancellor, I read your book, I went to Egypt, and I must meet you, I must talk with you. Let me know something, one way or another. It was really a desperate kind of letter. When I get back home, I'm all happy, he got my letter. I guess I'll be hearing from him tomorrow, and we'll hook up and hang, whatever. And I didn't hear from him the next day. I said, oh man, why ain't he calling me? But 2 days later, I did get a call from one of his assistants saying that Chancellor will give you 2 hours next Thursday between 3 and 5. Will you be able to come by? I said, of course, I definitely will be there, So I'm all excited, I can't wait to go. At that time, I had my own book, The Destruction of Black Civilization, so I'm going to take it by, and get him to sign it, of course. And so the time is coming, today is Thursday, so I said, Oggi, this is a pretty heavy day for you, you better not eat anything. You want all your energy in your body to be in your brain, because you're going to be dealing with the master. You don't want none of your energy digesting food or anything. So I get by there, I knock on the door, boom, 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 and he opens the door, and he doesn't know me from Adam. And I go in, and he sits down, and I sit down next to the couch, and we started talking. So I was telling him, I said, yes, I'm a freelance photographer. I've been taking pictures for about, 15 years of entertainers. What he asked me really was, did I do a lot of traveling? And I said, yes, I travel a lot with the, with the record companies going to different places, Chicago, California, Philly. And so he was telling me that he had his book, The Destruction of Black Civilization, had become popular in academia. And he basically said, would I work with him a couple of hours a week? Would I have time to work a couple of hours a week with him? And I said, of course, I would love to work with you. And at that time, that's when I found out that he claimed that he was partially blind, but basically I believe he was totally blind. Because even though he wore glasses, he really, couldn't see, he couldn't do nothing. He knew his apartment, and he knew certain things, but basically he really couldn't see. So initially we started out, I would take him shopping, also took him to the doctors a couple of times, but eventually, because I traveled with the record companies, he really wanted me to travel with him. And primarily because I was a freelance photographer, I really wasn't on no schedule or anything. It worked in good with his schedule, because my first trip was with him to Chicago, to the Third World Press. And what happened was, when we got to Chicago, the O'Hare Airport, we went into, to the terminal, and there were 2 elderly gentlemen sitting down. And, Chancellor sort of recognized their voices, and he sort of sat down with them. And, being a photographer, I had my camera, I was kind of excited to be with Chancellor and traveling with him. I took a picture of these 3 gentlemen. And it just so happened that those three gentlemen happened to be together. Was an astonishing picture, because those 3 gentlemen, one of them was Yosef Ben Yochannon, who they called Dr. Ben, and the other one was Henrik Clarke. And Chancellor with them was astonishing to have those 3 historians together. And that particular picture, is one of the greatest pictures that I've ever taken. But so we went to the meeting, and it was like something about the elders. And so, when I think about it, getting an Ankh in January, and here, this is like, maybe 1976 now, meeting Chancellor, 75 rather, really meeting Chancellor Williams, who wrote the book, The Destruction of Black Civilization, that empowered me and influenced me so much. I was in, my world. And it was kind of good in a way, because even though the music business is fun, it's interesting, it also is a lure to really destructive behavior. And when I say destructive behavior, there's a lot of drugs, there's a lot of drinking, there's a lot of partying, there's a lot of probably sex and everything else. Sort of like a Sodom and Gomorrah. But I'm not saying that everybody's that way, but there's a lot of that in that industry. And by me meeting Chancellor Williams and going with him on these different trips to different colleges around the country was a great balance between the music industry, funning, having fun all kind of ways, and then being very serious, talking about uplifting and inspiring black people. Because his book, The Destruction of Black Civilization, was so interesting and so important to black people in general, that it really uplifted and inspired me, which gave me a feeling that everyone that I knew, all of my friends back in New York and in Washington, knew about Chancellor Williams, knew about his book, and eventually I had a chance to come to my apartment with some of my friends here, and we all taped him, and we asked him questions that we thought was important. And that was the second time that I felt that I did something great and wonderful for my friends and my boys. Dr. Williams was kind of blessed in a way. He was very intelligent. When he was in school, the 5th grade, his 5th grade teacher, his father was a doctor, and he hired Chancellor to deliver the Crisis magazine. And the Crisis magazine had in the back of it books that was written by W.E.B. Du Bois, etc. So the doctor would buy these books so Chancellor could read them. So Chancellor, when he got to the 8th grade, was pretty well educated. You know, he was a heavy brother. And so in my relationship with him, he was very stern in a way. You know, he was like 75, I'm 35. And but he was very stern, and sometimes he was very serious. And to me, one of the things that I discovered from him was a lot of things, was that he said time was valuable. And from that point on, I never waste time. Another time I went